Mega Abomasnow EX is one of my favorite new cards from Mega Evolution. It might not be the most competitive deck, but it's a fun pick that still gives you plenty of chances to win. Here's the list we'll be playing today. Starting with the Forest Snover, that's going to evolve into our big hitter here, Mega Abomasnow EX, with 350 HP, and for just 2 water energy to an Avalanche Hammer. You discard the top 6 cards of your deck, and it does 100 damage for each basic water energy you discard this way. Then its second attack for 3 water energy does 200, and you take 30 less next turn. This could be surprisingly good with the rigid band that'll also allow you to take 30 less. So you can take up to 60 less damage, and with 350 HP, that can make it pretty hard on the opponent. Our next attacker is the Kyogre, which has this Riptide attack for 1 water energy. You do 20 damage for each basic water energy in your discard pile, and then you shuffle them into the deck. So you're going to attack with the Abomasnow early. This is going to mill and get our water energies into the discard. And then later on, we can put them back into the deck with the Kyogre, also giving us a nice one prize attacker. And then we can finish the game by going with Abomasnow again after the deck's been thinned and then filled back up with water energy. The Latios is here just to allow us to retreat between the Snover and Kyogre as we're trying to set up in the early game. For our supporters, we're playing 4 Research, 4 Arven. These are our setup cards. The Arven can find Trolley and Turbo Energize to help us get energy in play early in the game and to fill up our bench. We usually want to go with 2 Snover, 2 Kyogre, and 1 Latias. Sometimes we'll either get a third Snover or Kyogre, depending on how we're prized. Then we have 3 Boss's Orders as our Gust. In the past, I've played this as more turbo cards like Explorer Guidance, but I think the Gust can be pretty important. For items, we have Ultra Ball and Trolley, and that's all we're playing. The reason we went with Ultra Ball over something like Nest Ball is to discard the water energy out of our hand to get it not tied up all the time so we can use it with the Kyogre. Turbo Energize, that's going to help us get extra energy in play because we want to attach this Nova on turn 1, and then Turbo Energize can help us, put more water energies in play. And then the Rigid Band's helping keep that Snowman alive. Let's jump into the gameplay. In this first game, I'm going to choose first. I'm still a little undecided on first versus second. The benefits of going second is you can more likely find the trolley with Arven and get the turbo energized and just build up a better board state. In this game, I choose first though. I start the Snover, attach water, and just pass. We're up against Raging Bolt that start at Mew EX, so right here I mainly have to be worried if I'm going to get donked or not. If I'm not donked, you can see we have the Mega Abomasnow in hand, and we would just need to find an energy, which with research in hand is very likely with 30 energy in the deck. So our opponent's playing Ultra Ball, and this is when we're going to see what they're setting up. So here comes down Fan Rotom using that Fan Call ability to help set up their board. There's Ditto and Hoot Hoots. They're going to retreat into the Ditto and then use that Transformative Start ability to find any basic from their deck. They get Raging Bolt, so this is a pretty weak start for them, which is going to be good for us. We draw the water energy, so that's going to allow us to play the Arven now instead of having to use the research to find it. We're just going to go Trolley and search Rigid Band since I'm planning on doing the real attack this turn and not the Turbo Energize. I'm going to use the Avalanche Hammer since I'm not worried about using Frost Barrier at this point. I just want to get water energy in the discard. The Rigid Band helps with the math in this matchup, forcing them to have to use 1 energy. If you don't have the Rigid Band, you could also use the Frost Barrier to accomplish the same thing, but in this situation, it was just better to get energy into the discard pile. Even though it doesn't guarantee the knockout, with 30 energy played in the list, it's pretty much guaranteed most of the time. So we're going to see he's building up a Raging Bolt now. There's 2 energy in play. There's the third energy. He's going to need 6 energy to take the knockout because of the Rigid Band. And here comes the Noctowl Jewel Seeker ability to help him keep finding the parts that he needs for this. There's Area Depth, Under Depths to extend his bench, and there's Nest Ball for another Teal Mask. He's at 4 energy. Here's the Pheasantipity flip the script. Just like you've seen Raging Bolt do this before, they can really go off at any time especially after that slow start. But he is going to miss the knockout. He chooses to keep 1 energy on the Raging Bolt to make it more likely for him to attack next turn. Here we're going to play Arven. This is mainly thinning the deck, getting non-waters out of the deck. So we're going to play the Ultra Ball, throw away cards we don't need, get the second Abomasnow. We're not going to put it in play quite yet. And then we just need to figure out where to attach for turn. So we put it on the Snover, lining up that attack later, and we actually missed the knockout here. That's a pretty tough spot to be, but when you play a deck like this that has a little bit of chance involved, that's going to happen more often. So there's Sada for them to get energy on the Raging Bolt. So they are going to be able to take the knockout this turn. And right here they decide to actually attach active and they only discard from the active, so that makes sense. So we're going to promote Snover. Now we're in a spot where we can either take the knockout with Kyogre and leave a one prizer in play, which is I think what I'm going to lean to. Latias gives us that free retreat so we can actually make that decision pretty easily. And here I can just hit Riptide, and that's going to put more water back in the deck so that our Abomasnow's hitting even bigger later in the game. So we take that knockout, we're tied at 3 prizes each. On their turn, they're going to use Tail Mask, flip the script, and just try to find everything again. You see we have that 12 card hand on their side, so Night Stretcher, they're going to find Raging Bolt. Sada is going to help them get the energy they need in play. And we do have the Latias on the bench, which is the biggest liability. I am trying to figure out other ways to play the deck. Some players just play like 4 Snover, 1 Kyogre, but that leads to a lot of mulligans. But they do take advantage and pull that Latias to the active and go down to 1 prize card. I promote the Snover, and I'm just going to go into Abomasnow, attach energy, Ultra Ball for another Abomasnow. Since they're on 1 prize card, there's nothing wrong with putting it in play. We're just thinning the deck. And there's nothing for me to boss that's going to really help. So I can, and I choose not to research because of, all I'm going to be drawing is water energy. So, and as you see, I've hit 6 water energy. So on their turn, mainly what they need is they could either get enough energy in play for Raging Bolt to take a knockout on the bench, or they're going to need Boss's Orders. We see they have an 18 card hand. Here, not sure exactly what all they're going through all this for, but they use Chin Pal, discard the bench, play another Area Zero, then play Ultra Ball. But they're doing all this pretty much for nothing because they have Blood Moon Ursaluna in hand already and energy and the boss just to win. So I don't know what all the extra steps were for, but a nice close game. And you can see how that early miss on the Raging Bolt kind of cost us that game. So here, game 2, we're going to win the coin flip. And here you can see I'm taking a little bit of time to think if I want to go first or second. I choose first again. And here we have 4 basics in the opening hand. I lean towards starting Kyogre in situations like this because I want to put the Snover on the bench and attach the energy to it, keep it safer. And then I can retreat into it easily with the Latias. I decided not to bench the Latias. I just don't want a easy early knockout since I wasn't really sure exactly what they were playing. But we're going to see they're playing the Cerula GX with the new Lunatone and Solrock, which is just a crazy engine for so many decks. And it's going to be a big part of the game going forward with that 70 attack with the Solrock and the drawl of the Lunatone and just needing fighting energy to make it all work. So many decks are trying to fit that in right now between Mega Lucario, Golden Go, and Ceruledge. So right here we have the boss on the bundle. I'm just going to kind of play this slow. I didn't have enough energy to keep the Latia, or enough cards in hand to keep the Latias and play the Ultra Ball, so I'm just going to slow roll this. That's going to give them some time to set up, which isn't great with Ceruledge, but the nice thing here is the Abomasnow is just so big and hits Ceruledge for weaknesses. This is just an all-around bad matchup for Ceruledge. So they get the Iron Bundle off the bench so I can't trap them again with that. And they knock out my Kyogre. And here I'm going to play the Ultra Ball, just finding the Abomasnow and just taking a big hit. Even without weakness, that would have been the knockout. And they're going to concede there, knowing that they're not going to catch back up through a 350 HP Pokemon that's just going to keep hitting them big every turn. And in the next game, we're going to win the coin flip again. And we're just going to stick with going first. It's just energy attached pass is pretty good in the deck if you don't get donked. So here we're going to take a mulligan and then find the Snover. And we have our energy attachment. We can research on the second turn. So I'm just going to attach energy. I don't attach the rigid band. I just don't want to throw it in play yet, not knowing how the game is going to evolve. And I'm only playing 1 copy of it. So Badoo. So we're going to have a slow deck here. Okay, so they're playing Hydreigon EX, which, has the Obsidian attack that's pretty good. It can knock out Snovers, but once we get the Abomasnow in play, Rigid Band's actually pretty big in that matchup because then they'll be hitting for 170 and they would have to three-shot our Mega Abomasnow. So this is a board state I kind of like to hit, is just Abomasnow and just take hits. That's good against Dragapult too, since it has that same damage threshold where it hits for 200, gets reduced by Band or the Frost Barrier down to 170, to where they have to take three shots. And then if you don't have anything on the bench, the Obsidian attack or Phantom Dive on Dragapult just can't get the normal value that it would. And item lock Badoo really doesn't matter. Jellicent, they can only be slightly annoying early on when you have Trolley and Ultra Ball, but for the most part, when you're only playing 4 items in your deck, item lock's just not going to be a big factor. So they hit that Lilies, refill their hand. They already have Pidgeot and Fez, so they're going to be able to accomplish a lot through those cards. So here comes the Hydreigon, has 1 energy on it. Super Rod, Night Stretcher, and see the Badoo poking for nothing because of the rigid band is really big here. So we're going to Arven, just thinning out that deck, and then we're going to hit Frost Barrier. I'm just reducing that damage even further and not milling cards when I'd rather like kind of save them. Since I have the Ultra Ball, I can discard and then find my Kyogre because I don't play any recovery. So if I mill too much, it could be a problem finishing out the game. I think I already had 1 or 2 Kyogres in the discard, so I definitely need that last Kyogre in the deck to stay in play. So he's going to get the second energy on the Hydreigon. He's going to Iono. Here we get 2 Latias. Quick search. And as I said, he's only doing 140 in this situation, but even 170 would still require a 3-shot. I love to just keep attaching energy to the Abomasnow. That way it has 4 retreat calls so that we can actually retreat it since Latias won't help with it. But also when it's knocked out, extra energy in the discard for the Riptide attack on the Kyogre is always pretty nice. So here we're still safe from any knockouts. They don't have any big attackers in this deck, and they're not playing it like anything like Dusknoir to kind of stretch that damage. So here we're going to see the Monkey Dory actually ended up making that Frost Barriers very relevant. So that is an interesting situation there. That was not my intention. That just happened by chance. But here they missed the KO by 10, which is going to force us to put the Latias in play so that we don't get lose due to no Pokemon. And I did attach the 5th energy since, like I said, I want to get the energy out of hand and into the discard. So we find Trolley off the prizes there. That's a nice thing. When they do take this knockout, the Latias can just retreat for us. So here they have Pidgey with the counter gain and an energy, so they can actually take this knockout with the Pidgeot EX. They're going to Iono, so we're going to lose that Trolley, but we get Research and an energy, but we don't have anything to attach the energy to yet. So here, all I'm going to need to find is Kyogre and 1 water energy, and we can knock out this Pidgeot. So we find Abomasnow, that's not it. There's the Kyogre, there's Attach, free retreat, Riptide for 380 damage, and that game is over. This deck is a ton of fun to play. Here I wanted to show a situation where I'm playing a different deck, but I run into an Abomasnow that has it looks like they're just playing like maybe the Forest Nova build, potentially Kyogre. They end up taking 7 mulligans, which is pretty rough, but it's pretty funny once they do find a basic. So yeah, there we see 7 mulligans. And then they've found 3 basics. And then you're going to see the card they play. They find all 4 Snovers after taking 7 basics. Just a crazy situation. Not really that relevant, but pretty funny. If you enjoyed this deck, let us know what other decks you'd like to see us play from Mega Evolution.